Good morning. Thank you, Charlie, and I fully accept that treatment for myself. Because today is a day of what is called Givingness. We're doing the A World That Works for Anyone theme this year for the whole year, and the title we've been given is We Believe in the Eternal Givingness of Life to All. Now, givingness, I don't even know if that's in Webster's. I'm going to have to check that out. But givingness is kind of an odd term, but you hear it a lot in religious science. Because what we teach here is a spiritual philosophy that is not complicated, but is very, very deep. There is a creator. The creator has created all. The creator has formed itself into everything, seen and unseen. And we're part of that. We belong here. We belong here. We're as much a part of the universe as the reading said, as the air, the sea, the skies. We are part of that. The creative genius forever continues to create. Plants grow, waters flow. It's a continuum. And every tiny action that we do here affects something over there. And we never really know how that happens or how that works, but we know it's true. So I have 3 points to make about this givingness this morning. And the first one is that our thoughts, our beliefs, are energy. They are pure energy. I think of it like the sun's rays, little packets of sunlight beaming towards Earth. That's how I think of our thoughts and beliefs. They're little packets, and they gain strength and power through our consciousness when we're aligned with the nature of God, when we're aligned with the creative process. It gives our thoughts and beliefs more strength. The nature of the creative power, we call it creative genius, we call it God, we call it infinite intelligence. One minister used to call it Big Sweetie, so it was more personal. But that creative intelligence has 7 qualities. Love, of course, light, life, peace, power, beauty, and joy. When we're in harmonious relationship with not maybe all of them today, but some of them, we find more health and happiness. And when we're out of sync with some of those, we find we drift more into sadness, maybe self-pity, maybe sickness. Believe me, as a minister, I've met many people whose thoughts and beliefs have made them sick. And so it's important to be the guardian of our mind, to find out, am I reflecting, am I feeling, am I thinking one or more of those qualities of the creative process in the universe? It's called being the guardian of our mind. It's like driving here this morning, and there was a big accident on I-5, and I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna be late. And then I thought, that's a silly thing to think. I'm just gonna be on time soon, Charlie will handle it. And when I thought that, it was fine, and of course it was just one car crashed, and we moved right ahead, and it was good. So even this morning, I had to be the guardian of my mind. Now we have classes coming up in September, and that's where we learn this. We learn how to express those 7 qualities of spirit in our life when we have challenges, and we all have challenges. Being alive creates a challenge. And so I'll be doing a class called This Thing Called You. Now, is that direct enough? That's Ernest Holmes. He's not saying this spirit called the beautiful you, and it's this thing called you, because we are enmeshed in the creative intelligence and the expression of that in the world. It's one of the greatest discoveries of all times that our thoughts and beliefs have power. But you know, it was discovered eons ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, but those people were not considered in their mind, right in the mind. But today, in today's world, more people realize that what I'm focused on is like a magnet that draws to me more like energy. It's called a principle, and we call it a principle because a principle like gravity doesn't change. It's something that works the same every time. This week I was reading an article in the Wall Street Journal, and if anyone is interested in this, I have it for you. It's called Road to a Cancer Advance. It's about a chance meeting of two doctors, Dr. Rosenblum, who is an immunologist who works on skin diseases. And he was determined to find help for his mother-in-law because she had skin cancer at one moment, and 2 years later, melanoma in her lung, and she was given 6 months to live. So he was determined to find some help for her. And he heard about this other doctor, Dr. Dowd, who was doing creative things working with skin cancer. And so he called Dr. Dowd. He said, I cold called her. You know how that feels. I want to talk to her, and you never know if you'll get through. But anyway, he did get through. And they started talking about this and decided to do some research together. They decided to study, more intense study, on immune system fighters. And he said these are the things in the body that first attack a tumor. But often they burn themselves out because the tumor is too big and there's not enough of those in the system. Well, they were able to identify this immune system blocker, and they called it CD8. But like you said, you can have a lot of CD8 in your system, but it may not be enough and just wear itself out. And then the doctors have to give you drugs and hope that works. Well, in their research, they found that these CD8 cells, when they worked in conjunction with another blocker called a PD-1 marker, who knows what that means, but anyway, and they found that when both of those were working in someone's body and they added drugs, miraculous things happen. So they gave CD8 and PD-1 markers to his mother-in-law, and in 12 weeks, the tumor shrunk 70%. And in a couple months, it was totally gone. So they were very excited. Now, what happened? The creative process of the universe requires somebody to be open at the top, open in their mind, desires more information, desires more connectivity with other like-minded individuals. And that's what was happening here. So those two minds and their open at the top creativity enabled them to figure this out. So now they're going into people's bodies who have tumors that have both those markers, trying to extract them and then take them to a lab and make gallons of them to be used for other patients. Now that's pure creativity. Nobody ever thought of that before. But what happened? It was the creative abundance in the universe presenting these, and it took a person to be open to say, I really want to know. And that's what I often tell people when they say, I can't figure it out. I said, ask that you know. Ask and listen, because amazing things happen. Ernest Holmes wrote that there's really no separation between anything. And everything, whether you see it or don't, are just two different sides of a coin. I see you, but I may not see the spirit or other things happening here that are invisible to my human eye, because we are limited in what we can see. But it's the nature of universal mind to flow greater goodness to those areas, to those energies, to those people who are open and who share the qualities of God: life, love, light, peace, power, beauty, joy. That's one of the things to think about every day. Am I exuding any of those so that the universal intelligence can send an idea to me that I never thought of before? Well, you know, I don't use the Bible much, but when I was thinking of that, I thought about that quote, and I looked it up, and it's Matthew 13. Because it's been given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom, the qualities of God. Whoever has this, whoever does this, will receive more. Do you remember that? Those who have will receive more. It's those who have knowledge and use of the qualities of the creative nature of the universe. But whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken away. That's what that means. And it's kind of a light went on when I was doing this, saying, oh, that's what that means. Am I with this intelligence or not? Actually, I went on reading Matthew. I haven't read him in, I don't know, since I was in Catholic high school, probably. I don't know. But he had a lot more to say about this. And he describes it as the separation from God, when we're separate and our ego is just so puffed up, we know everything. and we don't feel spiritual at all. Why? We're just so super cool. So it's the difference between that and then the difference between being in alignment with those 7 qualities. And the first one is deeds. He warns us not to do charitable deeds where we announce, I took some shoes to the homeless today, but to just do it in secret and just feel that richness. He says, don't pray like the hypocrites standing on a street corner shouting out, Jesus saves. He didn't say Jesus saves, but praying on a street corner to be seen by others. But go to your room and shut the door. What that means is go into your mind and your heart and be silent and pray. He says, if we do not forgive others, we shall not be forgiven. Forgive and we will be forgiven. Do not lay up treasures on earth that will rust. I like that, rust. But lay up treasures in heaven, and that's in our heart. Our heart is where heaven starts. We live in heaven, but it's important that our heart feels like we live in heaven. And he says, do not use your eye, which is the language of the soul, the lamp of our body. Do not use it for bad things or darkness, but use it only for good, and we will see good. And then he says, and I like this because I think it's important, do not worry about your life. Oh, that's a big one. Don't worry about what you eat and drink. Don't worry about your body, because all these things are temporary. Instead, remember the birds of the air and the lilies of the field. Do you remember that? Be like lilies of the field. They're there because nature knows what they need. Nature just knows. So when we're aligned with that creative genius, our needs are going to be provided. It's not that we're not doing anything. When we're in alignment, we're loving, we're joyful, we're happy. So he says, for everyone who asks receives, and those who seek find, and those who knock, a door will be open. This is very much like spiritual mind treatment, our form of affirmative prayer. We seek, I need a prayer. We knock, hey practitioner. And the practitioner knows for sure and knows for you as a spiritual being that your needs are met, and the prayer will be answered. So it's fun to see Matthew in his age talking about things that we now accept and believe today. But he did remind us the gate is narrow, and it can be difficult with all the distractions in the world. But we're inclined to live a more spiritually based life once we prove to ourselves that these things are true. I can tell you all I want, but until you prove it to yourself, now the gate will open a bit more. So the second point I want to make is the abundant presence of life is evident in nature. I love nature. I know a lot of people here just love being out and taking walks and just sitting outside and just being one with nature. But really, when we're in nature, it's a source of health and wisdom. Health because we're usually calm, and wisdom because our minds kind of go blank, don't they? I know the best way to get my mind to go blank is to pull weeds in the yard. I'm just like not thinking of anything. And who hasn't been uplifted by being on a beach or seeing a beautiful sunrise or smelling a fragrant rose? These are uplifting things, and this is good because it's uplifting in the heart. Well, we have a new wetlands trail at our place where we live in Lake California, and I was walking it a couple weeks ago, and lo and behold, about 100 little baby frogs, no bigger than a quarter, decided they had to jump from this side of the path to that side of the path. And I tried to take a picture of them, but they matched the color of the dirt on the path, and then they would boing, boing, about 100 of them, and I was like mystified. But there was something in them as a group that just had to get to the other side, if you know how that feels. They were just determined. So it just uplifted my heart, obviously, for a few weeks. It was so sweet. So against all odds, the creative nature of the universe cannot be stopped. Our parking lot is a good example. We pave over Earth, and if we don't continue to repair it, Mother Nature starts pushing, and a little crack opens, and a little weed or a flower, hopefully a flower, comes through that crack. And we're like mystified. How can a little flower push up concrete? Mother Nature cannot be denied. It's continually growing and moving, and it's beyond us to stop it. Stop Mother Nature, we just can't do it. And so our limiting beliefs are just like the pavement. You have a few beliefs and, this isn't good enough, my house isn't good enough, this isn't whatever, right? And we're calling in the cement trucks. Come on in, pave over my good. That's a good visual, isn't it? It's a really good visual. But nature keeps calling. It's not necessary to pave over your good. Ernest Holmes asks, so how much goodness can we really have in our life? As much as we can believe we have. As much as we believe. So here's the third point about givingness of life. It's all in perfect balance and order. Oh, God, sometimes we hate to hear that. It has got to be challenging in today's world to think it's all right and perfect. And I find myself going there a lot, reminding myself that a lot lately. Because if God is pure spirit, everything is pure spirit. If God manifests through goodness, everything manifests for a greater good, even though right now it looks scary, ugly, awful. So I have to trust that. Order is God's first law. Now, I was thinking that as I was in the traffic this morning, I thought, my car needs to be washed. And order, that's order. Order is God's first law. Am I flowing with the order of God's first law? So guess where I'm going after service. Because we're swimming in this oneness. We're just swimming in it. And sometimes, like a fish, you can't tell that you're swimming in the water. So often you hear us express, I and the Father are one. Jesus said it. Lots of spiritual people say it. We say it because it's true. We're all one. And then another one is, I am that I am. Now, I like to put the emphasis on that. I am that I am. The I am of God is my I am. So I am that I am. And then check in and see how I feel. Another example is what we call cause and effect. Everything here is an effect. The chairs are an effect, the podium's an effect, the guitar's an effect. It's all an effect. And every effect has a cause. So it's fun to think about, what's the cause of a chair? Well, it took someone to have an idea. I have an idea for a chair that can be made so cheap for churches and big events that everybody's going to want it, and I need to design it. And so somebody designed that chair. And then someone picked out the fabric, and then someone bought all the parts, and then someone put them together. Cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. But it first came with an idea. And now we have these chairs, and they are an effect that you're sitting in. The wildfires this summer are an effect. Horrendous. But you know what? Fire is natural to our environment. When a wildfire goes through, typically not as horrific as the ones that do now, seeds come up, grasses come up, birds return, it clears out the underbrush. But these horrific fires, there's something else going on. Many causes: drought, an overabundance of vegetation that is not properly managed, people moving into the rural environment. We love it though. Plus wind and a spark. Cause and effect. The effect is though horrendous wildfire, but it has many causes that came together. But if you live in the path of a wildfire, it's horrifying. But what are you supposed to do? Get out of the way. Because the fire's going to do what it's going to do, and we're going to try and stop it. But as you have heard this past week, several instances, the firemen just say, I don't know how to handle this because it's so big. But it had many causes, not just nature. So that all we see in the visible world was sourced in the visible world was sourced in the invisible world. And we used to think that we were the only planet that had inhabitants, and we lived in this little planet called Earth, and then we found out we lived in the Milky Way, and then we found out there were other galaxies, and now science is finding thousands and thousands and thousands of galaxies. But because we didn't see it, we didn't know it or believe it. So there's so much more out there. And from the science of mind perspective, we can't even begin to know the limit, or if there is one. But like the doctors in this article, we can be open to newness. We can be open to receive the givingness of spirit. Because your goal in life is just as important as anyone's goal. It's just as important as anything happening on the planet. Your individual goal, especially when it's nurtured with the 7 qualities of God. So as I get older, I kind of gave up getting more stuff. I mean, how much stuff can we have? And Deb, thank you. I'm going to start pulling out those dresses I used to dance in. Doggone it. Can I? Okay, I'll bring you the rest. So anyway, but the universe and the energy of life continues to give, and I have to decide what I want to receive. And right now, my choice is knowledge. I want to receive more knowledge. And if I can, it's exciting. I love learning new stuff. I love reading new books. I love hearing about these doctors. And the fun part is when I apply those 7 qualities of God to asking for more knowledge, the result, the effects are going to go on into infinity. Now that's exciting. That's really exciting. So your spiritual practice this week, if you decide to take it, is to spend some time being open to greater good. Go outside and sit and just feel open for a while. Because what we focus on expands. That's also about spiritual mind treatment. Where our mind is focused, energy goes. And energy is constantly coming and going. What your thoughts today do is they make the foundation for your tomorrow. So I leave you with that. Lay your foundations for tomorrow today and begin about 9:45. It'd be perfect. So let's end with a prayer. I just feel alive with the oneness this morning, knowing that we're all swimming in this sea of love, light, peace, power, beauty, joy. We're just swimming in it when we're open to it. We're swimming in it even if we don't know. But when we open our mind and we open our hearts, oh my gosh, the creative intelligence of the universe floods in. Another idea pops up. Another connection is made. Another set of humanity will be saved because of these 2 doctors who joined together without preconceived ideas, just wanting to help. So I give great thanks for this thing we call science of mind, this affirmative prayer we call spiritual mind treatment, because that is what aligns us when we veer off to the right or the left, when we kind of forget how perfect this world is, how that we're all effects in a life caused by God. So in gratitude, my heart is just open this morning to each one of you to experience more of that in your life. The thing is, it's free. It's free to use anytime, any place. And that's the truth, and so it is. Thank you.